Welcome to Headline Busters, brought to you by The Point. I'm Li Qiuyuan, sitting in for Liu Xin. In this series, I dissect stories that are making headlines around the world and talk to my guests to compensate for the missing pieces of the puzzle. So join us in real time by sending us your comments or questions via the Cgtn page, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Weibo. And if you're watching this live on the Cgtn app, email us at thepointwithlx@cgtn.com. Let me know what you think, and we might just read out your comments. We start our live streaming every Friday at 11 a.m. Beijing time. Do get in touch. And this week, we're unraveling the web of coronavirus lies 3 U.S. politicians have been submitting. Their mission? To deflect blame for the Trump administration's mishandling of the outbreak. And their target? China. But why? Over 80,000 Americans have lost their lives to the virus so far, with over 1.4 million infected. The U.S. economy is in free fall. Unemployment is hitting record highs, and Americans are understandably upset. Now, somebody's got to take the fall, and Trump is bound and determined it's not going to be him. But let's now look at the facts. Months were squandered between January 21st, when the U.S. reported what was at the time thought to be its first case of coronavirus, and March 13th, when Trump declared a national emergency and started talking or taking steps to fight the virus domestically. Now, people are misled, and Trump assured Americans the virus would miraculously go away. But when it didn't and the U.S. death toll started to rise, Trump and his team needed a new tactic. They started using the terms China virus and Wuhan virus. And that was just the beginning of the administration's Blame China campaign. Now, to anyone who's been paying attention, the truth is clear. And yet the conspiracy theories, lies, and misinformation persist. Now, we hate to sound like a broken record and keep talking about this, but as long as these lies proliferate, we'll be here to bust them. So today, we'll look at a few of the most outlandish theories coming from Peter Navarro, Mike Pompeo, and Donald Trump himself. First, let's be clear. Navarro, Trump's trade advisor, has never liked China, so this period of angst in the U.S. gives him fertile ground to spread his China conspiracies. Now, there have been so many already, but just take a look at the latest.
President Trump built the most powerful and beautiful economy in the world in 3 years.
Yep.
The Chinese Communist Party took it down in 60 days.
The U.S. economy is indeed suffering, and the unemployment rate has soared to 14.7%, the worst since the Great Depression. The Q1 GDP shrank by 4.8%, the biggest plunge since the worst of the 2008 financial crisis. But it's suffering because of how the crisis was mishandled within the U.S., not because of China. And to say China is to blame is really overestimating China's abilities here. I mean, who would hatch a plot to attack the world with a virus and risk their own people's safety? And it's not like Navarro is some lone wolf here. His comments echo the recently leaked memo circulating among Republican senatorial candidates that explicitly encourages candidates to attack China. Now, while the origin of the virus remains unclear, one thing is crystal clear. Navarro is avoiding the U.S. government's own mishandling. It's also worth mentioning that Trump didn't even build the beautiful economy Navarro describes. He inherited its trends. The job growth and decline in the unemployment rate both held steady during the Obama years. And Trump thought he could ride the good economy right on into his second term, but now it looks like that won't be so easy anymore. Now, if the Trump administration had started testing earlier, recommended social distancing earlier, and an honest discussion happened earlier with the American people, the U.S. would be in a very different place. And next, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, America's top diplomat. Now, his conspiracy of choice revolves around the stubborn Wuhan lab theory, and that China created the virus in a lab or it escaped from a lab. Doesn't matter. He has, quote, strong evidence. Let's hear it.
I can tell you that there is a significant amount of evidence that this came from that laboratory in Wuhan. But the best experts so far seem to think it was man-made. I have no reason to disbelieve that at this point.
It's embarrassing, yes, but it's also dangerous. The laugh theory has been shut down by scientists around the world, the WHO, and even by the top U.S. intelligence agency when it released a statement that states it concurs with the scientific consensus that the COVID-19 virus was not man-made or genetically modified. And putting aside how Chinese feel about Pompeo these days, even the American media can't help but critique Pompeo's performance in their headlines. So when you fight against science, and when your own people say, we know how badly you want this to be true, but no, you're wrong, you see how desperate the situation has become. And of course, there's Trump himself. Now, it's hard to keep track of all the lies he spread since taking office. One recent estimate says that as of early April, Trump had told 23.3 lies per day in 2020. And since the first case of COVID-19 was reported in the U.S., there's been a 0.5 lie increase. And that's compared to 1 or 2 little lies most people tell every day. But these aren't little lies, are they? Trump is not most people. He is the president of the United States. Suggesting Americans swallow disinfectant to treat the virus, telling Americans the virus would miraculously disappear by April, calling COVID-19 the China virus, telling a Chinese-American journalist not to ask him about the rising virus deaths in the U.S., but to ask China. The lies are not only immoral, but they have also cost American jobs and lives. Now, Trump and his aides show no sign of stopping, and in the meantime, Americans are dying every day. This is the price of tampering with the truth and gambling with people's lives.